Hi students, today in this class we are going to study about half-life period of a reaction or half-life of a reaction, and also I have studied about the definition as well as half-life of a reaction for zero order reaction as well as half-life period of a first order reaction. And next part we can also study about the effect of temperature. Now come to the half-life of a reaction. What is half-life of a reaction? Please remember, half-life of a reaction is the time in which the concentration of a reactant is reduced half of its initial concentration. Means it is a time in which the concentration of the reactant is exactly what? The half of its initial concentration. Suppose ನೀನೇನಾದರೂ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ 100 ಮೋಲ್ ಪರ್ ಡಿ ಎಮ್ ಕ್ಯೂಬ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ 100 ಮೋಲ್ ಪರ್ ಡಿ ಎಮ್ ಕ್ಯೂಬ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ 100 ಮೋಲ್ ಪರ್ ಡಿ ಎಮ್ ಕ್ಯೂಬ್ ಇರೋದು 50 ಮೋಲ್ ಪರ್ ಡಿ ಎಮ್ ಕ್ಯೂಬ್ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಏನು ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಆ ಟೈಮನ್ನು ನಾವೇನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಹಾಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹಾಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ವೇ. ಹಾಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ time in which the concentration of the reactant is reduced to half of its initial concentration, and this half-life period of a reaction is different for different orders. Okay, now we shall study about that. The first thing is half-life of a reaction for a zero order reaction. Now already we know that the rate constant for zero order reaction is small k is equal to concentration of R naught minus concentration of R divided by what? Divided by T. Okay, this is what the rate constant for a zero order reaction. See now, when T is equal to T half means the time at which the half of its concentration is reduced. When time T is equal to half of a reaction, that is T half, then what about the R? From definition we come to know that the reactant is exactly reduced to half of its initial concentration, that is nothing but the R naught upon 2. That means the initial concentration is R naught is exactly reduced to half. Substitute these values in the above equation, then what happens? K is equal to concentration of R naught minus 1 by 2 concentration of R naught, because R is equal to R naught upon 2 divided by T half. Okay, that means 1 minus 1 by 2, again it is 1 by 2. Therefore K is equal to concentration of R naught divided by 2 T half, or that is the final equation. T half for the zero order reaction is equal to T half is equal to concentration of R naught divided by 2. This is what the what we can call it as T half of the zero reaction. What it indicates that? It indicates that half-life period of a zero order reaction is directly proportional to initial concentration and inversely proportional to rate constant of the reaction. Okay, please remember one point: the half-life of a reaction for a zero order reaction depends on initial concentration. That means it is directly proportional to initial concentration. This is about the half-life period of a reaction for zero order reaction. Now come to the second one, half-life period of a reaction for first order reaction. For this also you come to know that the rate constant for first order reaction. What is the rate constant for first order reaction? Very simple. The rate constant small k is equal to 2.303 by T log of concentration of R naught, that is initial concentration, divided by concentration of the reactant at time T. Is it right? Okay, now when time T is equal to T half, that is half-life of a reaction. From the definition we come to know that half-life of a reaction is the time in which the concentration of the reactant exactly reduced to half of initial value. Therefore concentration of the reactant will become concentration of R naught divided by 2. Concentration of R naught divided by 2. And again substitute these values in the above equation. Therefore K is equal to 2.303 divided by T is nothing but T half and log of R naught divided by, what is R here? R naught divided by 2. Then this R naught will be cancelled. What is remaining? 2.303 divided by T half into log 2. What is the value of log 2? That is 2.303 by T half is to 0.3010. And multiplying this one, and we have to put it in final equation. Therefore, T half is equal to, actually what happens this one? It is 0.693 divided by T half. K is equal to this one. K is equal to 0.693 divided by T half. Then what happens again? That is for T half is equal to 0.693 divided by K. This is what the final expression for half-life of a reaction for zero order reaction. Then what it indicates that? It indicates that the half-life period of a first order reaction is independent of initial concentration, because there is no initial concentration term in this particular expression. Therefore, we come to know that it does not depend on the initial concentration. But in this case, that means half-life of a zero order reaction, there is a term R naught. That means it depends on the initial concentration, but for first order reaction, T half is independent of the initial concentration. Let's now come to the pseudo first order reaction. Okay, as you know, pseudo means reverse R, pseudo first order reaction here. A pseudo first order reaction is 1, where the order of the reaction is 1, but molecularity has 2 or more. The order will be 1, but molecularity is more than 2 or it may be more. Then it can also be defined, this is also known as pseudo first order reaction, pseudo unimolecular reaction. It is also known as pseudo unimolecular. What is exactly mean by this? Please remember, it can also be defined like this. If the higher order reaction is converted into first order, higher order reaction is converted into what? The first order, by taking all the reactant except one in large excess. That means in such reactions, the only one reactant will affect the rate of reaction, but other reactants will not affect the rate of reaction. This is because, as the definition it indicates that all they are in large excess. Compared to one reactant, other thus be in very large excess. For example, one is only in 1 ml, the another is around 1 liter. If you have to remove 1 ml from that 1 liter or add 1 ml, that will not affect the rate, because already they are in excess. Such type of reactions are called as pseudo first order reactions. Example for pseudo first order reaction is acid hydrolysis of ethyl acetate. As you know, ethyl acetate CH3COC2H5, okay, in presence of acid as a catalyst, it undergo hydrolysis, means addition of water to give the acetic acid and ethyl acetate, acetic acid and ethyl alcohol. Okay, in this reaction, the acetate, ethyl acetate is very small amount, that is around 0.01 mole, but water is around 10 mole. As compared to this is very large excess. If you have to remove 1 ml from this one, it will not affect the rate of reaction. Therefore, at time t, okay, this 0.01 mole becomes 0.01 becomes 0, and 10 mole is become 9.9 mole. That means the rate can be written as rate is equal to K dash into concentration of ethyl acetate and water, but because of large excess, this concentration will not affect the rate of reaction. Hence, K dash into this is taken as constant. Therefore, rate is equal to what? The rate is equal to K into CH3COC2H5, because the water is in large excess, it will not affect the rate of reaction. Therefore, such reactions rate can be written like this. This is one example, acid hydrolysis of ethyl acetate. One more example I will write here. Inversion of cane sugar. Inversion of cane sugar. The inversion of cane sugar, you can write the reaction C12H22O11. The one more example is inversion of cane sugar, C12H22O11 plus water, that is in large excess, again in presence of the acid, then what happens? C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. Okay, this is what the glucose or sucrose. Sorry, this is what the sucrose. This is what the sucrose. It will give glucose, and this is what the fructose, and the rate for this reaction is equal to K into concentration of C12H22O11, because it is a one more example for pseudo first order reaction. Okay, next aspect of this chapter, temperature dependence of the rate of reaction. Okay, you know that most of the chemical reactions are increases by increasing the temperature. Most of the chemical reactions. Okay, from the study it shows that for every 10-degree increase in temperature, the rate constant of the reaction is almost double or twice anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. Almost double ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ for every 10-degree temperature anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. Okay, that is given in terms of temperature coefficient. Then what is temperature coefficient? Temperature coefficient is defined as the rate constant of the reaction at a given temperature to the rate constant of 10-degree lower temperature is equal to 2 or 3 anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. That is known as temperature coefficient. That means the ratio of temperature coefficient is the ratio of the rate constant of a reaction at a given temperature to 10-degree, the rate constant of reaction at 10-degree lower temperature is equal to 2 or 3 times. That is nothing but temperature. That is generally what it indicates, that for every 10-degree increase in the temperature, the most of the cases the rate constant of the reaction is increases to twice anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Then this effect of temperature on the rate of reaction is clearly explained by the Arrhenius. From he is given the Arrhenius equation, that is Arrhenius equation is given as K is equal to AE raised to minus A upon RT. What is K? Once again we know that K is the rate constant of the reaction. A is known as Arrhenius factor or the frequency factor, or sometimes it can also called as pre-exponential factor, and A is the activation energy in kilojoule per mole, and R is the gas constant, and T is the temperature in Kelvin. And from Arrhenius it is very clear that the reaction will take place only when the reactant molecules will be collide. By taking an example between the reaction between H2 and I2, he is going to explain very clearly on the basis of Arrhenius collision theory. See, according to him, the H2 and I2 react to give 2HI. This reaction will take place only when a molecule of hydrogen will collide with the molecule of iodine to form some intermediate complex, and it is unstable and immediately give to the product. Is it right? And immediately it will give the product. That can be given here, H plus Hi, H2 plus I2, when it will collide to give the compound, the intermediate complex compound, and there is a final product. And the energy required to form this intermediate complex, that is activated complex, this energy is called as activation energy. What do you call this one? This is called as activation energy. And this can be explained with the help of graph, that is the profile diagram. Then what happens when we are going to plot the graph between the potential energy versus reaction coordinate? Okay, here the reactants and it will be the products, and when these reactant molecules collide to give activated complex, and finally it will give the product. According to the Boltzmann, it means that all these molecules will not have same kinetic energy to collide. Therefore, it is very difficult to analyze the kinetic energy of a single molecule, and hence they will give the probability graph that can be explained here. See, as I told you, according to Boltzmann and Maxwell, all the molecules do not have the same kinetic energy. Then they are going to plot the graph of fraction of molecules, that is Ne by Nt versus kinetic energy, and give the, that's one, only some molecules which have the kinetic energy, extra kinetic energy, collide to give the products. That is, by plotting the graph of fraction of molecules versus kinetic energy, this is the most probable distribution energy for different molecules, where Ne is the number of molecules with kinetic energy and Nt is the total number of molecules. Okay, then, and from this we come to know that when we plot the graph at two different temperature, when you plot the graph at temperature T, it has small energy here, the small area. This amount of molecules are, that is, the area shows the fraction of molecules reacting, this one. And when we plot the graph at T plus 10 degrees centigrade, the number of molecules is almost doubles that will react to give the products. Then what it indicates that? See, increasing the temperature of the substance increases the fraction of molecules. When increasing the temperature of the substance, increase the fraction of molecules by decreasing the activation energy. Then the more and more number of molecules are involved in the reaction, and it will doubles the rate constant, and the temperature of the reaction increases by 10 degree Celsius. Then from the graph fraction of molecules versus kinetic energy, we come to know that this is the temperature at T Kelvin. Only this much number of molecules are involved in the reaction. When the temperature increases to this one, when it decreases the kinetic energy, decrease the activation energy, and more molecules are involved in, the area of this will be almost doubles. It indicates that for every 10 degree increase in the temperature, the rate of the reaction is, or rate constant of the reaction is doubles. Okay, now let us again come to the Arrhenius equation. As I told you, K is equal to E raised to minus A upon RT. By taking the ln to both sides, okay, by taking a natural logarithm to both sides, ln K is equal to ln A, ln K is equal to ln A minus EA upon RT. It is one more equation, one more form of the Arrhenius equation. Okay, now this is of the equation of the form y is equal to mx plus c, that is equation of a straight line. Again, by plotting the graph of ln K versus what? The ln K versus 1 by T, that is per Kelvin 1 by T. Again we are getting a straight line with negative slope. And this is ln A is the intercept. For this intercept is ln A, and slope is equal to minus EA upon R. From this we come to know that we are going to find out the activation energy of the reaction. And also from this we come to know that by increasing the temperature or decreasing the activation energy increases the rate of reaction, or exponential increase in the rate of reaction. Okay, now let us write the other forms of this equation as, see, at temperature T1 the rate constant is K1, and also at temperature T2 the rate constant is K2. Therefore ln K1 is equal to ln A plus, sorry, ln A minus EA upon R T1. Call it as equation number 1. If ln K2 is equal to ln A minus EA upon R T2. From these two equations we come to know that ln K2 minus ln K1 is equal to, that is ln A minus ln A will be cancelled, minus EA upon R T2 minus of minus EA upon R T1. Okay, by taking EA is common, EA upon R is common. This will be what happens? Minus of minus. This will be what happens? Minus EA. This minus of minus will become plus. It is 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. Therefore, ln A minus ln B is ln K2 upon K1 is equal to, ln K2 upon K1 is equal to EA upon R into bracket T2 minus T1 upon T1 T2. Okay, now this ln is converted into log. Then 2.303 log K2 upon K1 is equal to log 2.303 log K2 upon K1 is equal to EA divided by R into T2 minus T1 upon T1 T2. Therefore, the final equation is log K2 upon K1 is equal